3 months ago, Paul and I moved into our very own flat. We bought it and there were lots of changes coming our way, some of which we anticipated and some of which we were just wholly unprepared for. Either way, somewhere during my move to the new flat, renovating the old as well as the new one, and, uprooting our whole life, I lost all of my routines. Which is a pity because just before we moved, they were so nicely in place. I had my healthy habits going on. I had somewhat regular art time almost every day. I got up at 5 or 6 in the morning and I loved it. But settling into the new place was pretty difficult. There is still so much work to do. But what we want to concentrate on in this video and this vlog is getting some of my routines back in order. This is a chatty one, a long one, so maybe you want to grab some tea or coffee or get your own art supplies and paint while I chat about the recent changes and how I am trying to get my habits back in place. We'll also be doing a watercolor painting of the Art Nouveau sketch I did for one of the last videos. For this watercolor painting, I'd like to show you the watercolors I recently purchased, and I want to immediately shout out you guys. I installed some affiliate links as well as an Amazon storefront now, and this set is wholly funded by you guys doing purchases via these links. If you don't know, affiliate links don't cost anything extra to you, but I get a small commission from whatever you are buying. And these earnings funded this Sargent inspired Winsor & Newton Cotman watercolor set, which was a collaboration between the Tate Britain as well as Winsor & Newton. Sargent was an incredible watercolorist. I've never seen watercolors like his, and it is very fitting to have him inspire this set. I did purchase it at half price, which makes every art supply purchase extra sweet, I believe. I was browsing TK Maxx, and in between these dollar store brands, there was this Winsor & Newton set. I couldn't quite believe it. I got it, and this is how it looks like. Next to these watercolor tubes, there is also one brush. And you gotta be careful when purchasing new brushes. You always want to make sure that you get rid of the starch that is in the brush to keep it nice and pointy. And carefully work water in the brush, maybe with your fingers. You will notice immediately when the starch is off and the brush works normally. There is also a postcard set in there, which is made from watercolor paper, and you can paint on the front. One more thing I want to tell you about the affiliate links though is that if you have the opportunity to support a local store, more than any commission do I value supporting your local art supply stores. But if you want to purchase it online, then I will in the near future also provide a link with bricks affiliate links. If you want to support this channel and support me, you can purchase your art supplies via these links, and I very much appreciate it. Now let's talk about the actual watercolors. I am very impressed by the vibrancy. I did not expect that from the Cotman series, which is, I believe, the student series. The other one is called Winsor & Newton Professional, and my only real comparison I can draw is to Schminke Horror Dame, which is also the professional version, and Schminke Academy, which is the student quality. Usually, I also work with watercolors from a pan instead of from the tube, and that makes such a difference. I showed you a small snippet, I can insert it here again, from some of Sargent's watercolors, and you can tell that they did a very good job at picking out these colors. He has lots of blues whenever he paints water. He has lots of orange and red because he oftentimes paints statues, buildings, and people, and the green is really only for incorporating some elements of nature, such as a few plants. This set is a really nice collection for people, buildings, and landscapes. They switched up the set though. They now include 2 pro markers, which are Payne's Grey and some Ivory Black. And in order to include those 2 markers, they left out the green shade as well as the ochre. I'm very much looking forward to using these vibrant colors in the watercolor painting. However, as so often with my paintings, I personally do not like it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I hate this painting. However, I hope that it's still of some value to you. I will talk about what I think I did wrong and how you can fix it if you want to try an Art Nouveau watercolor painting. I'm getting started with the masking fluid. I have this one from Pebeo, but I believe they are all quite the same in their quality, at least regarding the part where you keep water away from the paper. The difference in quality will become noticeable when you try to remove the masking fluid and whether or not you take paper with it. This is a new purchase, therefore I am very intrigued to see how this will work. Now I have this sketch on my iPad in Procreate. I tried to do a little color study and I thought I did well. I liked how this color study looks. However, as soon as I start with the background, which I'm using the watercolors I just tested out for, I realized that I might have gone in too heavy-handed with the watercolors. The background is supposed to be light and easily distinguishable from the main motif, which in my case would be the woman sitting at her little table. And because I usually paint from a watercolor pen instead of the tube, I miscalculated the pigment that would lay on my paper after the first wash. Regarding the masking fluid, except for I think 3 tiny instances where I ripped the paper, it worked quite well. But something that is now glaringly obvious to me is that the background is way too troubled as well as way too dark. I wanted to have this nice light wash of very light ochre, very light brown, and some little drops of blue, and it's way too much. For a first time Art Nouveau painting, if you just try to get into it, I'd recommend going for a wash in one color. I was already a bit depressed by this painting at that point. Therefore, I decided to only work out which watercolor pencils I was going to use and then take a break, get some lunch, and check off some of my habits I am supposed to be doing and supposed to be getting back into. Which is also a great opportunity to show you some of the garden I now have. I am so happy with the garden. It's so much work and we have some very tall trees, but I love it, Paul loves it, and the dog Dino, he loves it as well. I tried to show you that whenever I am in the middle of a flower bed and I'm doing some gardening, he miraculously shows up as if he has some job to do just next to my feet, which is adorable. He was very suspicious of the garden at first. He didn't quite know what to do with it and what to do with all this freedom, I guess. But now he's having a grand time and we are often, as of right now, training in the garden. He loves running around. He also loves eating grass. He sometimes just stands on the lawn and eats grass like a little sheep. Immediately after moving, we got this agility set. He loves it. Sometimes he jumps over the hurdles just for fun. And we dreamed of a garden for such a long time. It really makes most of the troubles we have right now worthwhile. I'm also aware how fortunate we are that we were able to purchase a flat in this economy. Come on, that's crazy. think now is a good time to talk about the habits I want to get back into. I already talked about one, which is that I was getting up very early before we moved, and I want to get back to that. My goal would be 6, better 5, but 6 is fine. And while I'm trying to get back into it, anything before 8 is great as well. I don't want to be too harsh. Something I learned over the years is that if I am kind to myself while I'm trying to achieve those things, then I am much better at actually sticking with them. Another thing I want to do is drink my citrus water every morning. It's this lilac bottle, it's 1 liter or 32 ounces, and I want to drink that in the morning. And lastly, I'd like to do something creative every day. That could be painting, crafting, bookbinding, sewing, whatever I feel like that day, and it doesn't always have to be work related. Those 3 things, it's not a lot, but those are the most important ones to me because I can build upon those once I establish them. Once I establish getting up early, I can establish getting up early and doing 10 minutes of yoga. Once I established drinking my citrus water, I can immediately after that citrus water go for some banana milk or, anything because I don't really like eating in the morning. I'm always looking for tips on how to get better at that because, you probably know it's really hard. It's very hard to get new habits going or revive old ones. I believe I heard that it takes 21 days to build a habit, but only 3 days to break it. I don't know if that's right. Don't trust that. However, it feels right. That's just how it feels. This is a scrap piece of paper from one of my orders. Whenever I print out a label for an Etsy order, there is a significant amount of paper left over, and I keep those, as a good artist does, and a crafter, and I actually do use it. Which is more than I can say for most of the things I keep. I'd like to delulu myself into keeping my collection. If you have to justify your collection to someone, just show them this video. Show them that there is an artist out there who actually used something from their Keep It For Later collection. That's real artist solidarity. Cute. Very cute. Ooh, I like it. Will I do a closing type here? I don't think so. I'll just do a Copic stitch. Oh, it's been a long time since I did a Copic stitch. How much thread do I need? Okay, I'll bind this one, I'll drink this, then it's probably 12, and then I should eat something. Haven't eaten anything today. How am I so bad at taking care of my body? I need to get a trash can situation going here as soon as possible. I don't have one near me yet. Oh, you thought that was just the usual messy me. Valid. Yes. Oopsie, took too much yarn. Thread. I took too much thread. I miss my curved needle, but I don't know where it is. Would be much easier with it. Oh, let me finish this up off camera. And I'll show you the result. I didn't like it and open it back up. I will now get lunch and think about my life choices. With Herculean effort, I just pushed the processed, already done fast food from the freezer back in there and went for some healthy veggie things instead. I don't know what I would do without frozen vegetables, and these are sweet potato fries. I'm just cutting them up into smaller sweet potato pieces. I know there are a lot of people who struggle with eating regularly and somewhat healthy food. I have nothing helpful to say, just that I feel you. I think I do have a tip. Get frozen veggies. It's all I use. The extra step of washing and cutting up your veggies. That would be too much. This is a little block of spinach, some sweet peas, edamame, carrot. That's something I manage. But there are carrots that are already cut up in the frozen veggie department. And what you do while this cooks is you prepare a sauce. That's it. You wait until it's done, and then you can eat. One bell pepper. I don't even always peel these. It's just a vibe thing, I guess. Sometimes it gives please peel me. I'm a bit disgusting vibes. A wash won't fix me as well. But other times I prop them in there like that. I love that we are on track in the home cooked meal department. In general, I'm on track in all the departments. It really helps to be held accountable on camera. Now we add some salt, a bit of soy sauce, and it's good to go. You know what I also have? Really unhealthy pre-made sauce. Still a balanced meal. You saw what I just put in there. That's healthy stuff. If I want to top it off with some chicken flavored sauce that does not contain any chicken, I'd say that's fine. You do whatever helps you eat regularly. It also gives you time to clean the kitchen while this cooks, which is another bonus. I guess my real tip for you guys is get a rice cooker and some frozen veggies. And this took me 5 minutes. Okay, let's talk about the dreaded watercolor painting, which I want to mention again, I do not like. Let's talk about why and what I think went wrong. Most importantly, as I mentioned, I went in way too heavy-handed with the background. It should have been, let's say, 10% of what ended up on the paper. I then tried to make the whole background and all of the decorative ornaments the same shade of brown to reduce the contrast and give it a more cohesive look. I decided that only the blue and the brown should be present in the painting. I think it helped a bit, but there was not a lot to salvage. Second thing I would do differently, and I will show you a mock-up in a second I did in Procreate of how I would paint this if I were to paint it again. And that's the decor is still way too much. In my Art Nouveau explanation video, I mentioned that you should go overboard with ornaments and decor and then afterwards tone it down. And I should have toned it down way more, way more. You can see here in the mock-up this kind of frame. I have some standard frames I go for in Art Nouveau, and this in watercolor is way too advanced for me. Watercolor is not my favorite medium, not a medium I use that often. Therefore, the frame is the first thing I'd tone down, as well as the ornaments in it. You can tell I only went for two shapes. The larger one in the background, reminiscent of a doorway because it could look like she is sitting outside in a cafe. And also the bottom shape would have a mosaic or cobblestone structure, as if she is sitting in some courtyard in front of a little cafe. Then the brand name would be more present, and I'd achieve that by putting it above her. It is supposed to be a marketing poster, and this way it's more obvious. I think with the other design, you don't quite know what you're looking at. Could be a painting, couldn't really be marketing, it's just too small. And when you look at other marketing posters back then, the brand name and lettering was always a huge part of the design. I further want to take the woman out of focus, and we'll do that by taking her off center even further and balance it out with a flower pot to the left. Color-wise, as I mentioned, I'd go in so much lighter, and I wouldn't contrast the blue with brown, but rather some very dark violet in the flowers or the brand name. I'll keep you posted on how my habits are going. It's not easy. I hope I'll stick with it, and I also hope to see you in the next video. Bye.
I was wondering why I'm feeling dehydrated. It's because I am. It's 11 a.m. and I am only now preparing my bottle. Still counts.